Well, the international break is behind us. The sun is shining in the beautiful Highlands, and we're back to Scottish Premiership action this afternoon as Ross County look to build on an encouraging start, their best ever, to a top-flight campaign. Standing in their way, though, are an all-conquering Celtic side on the prowl for 10 in a row. After having had a couple of postponements due to COVID regulation infringement, Neil Lennon's men are in the unfamiliar position of playing catch-up in the table. Well, welcome along to Dingwall and the Global Energy Stadium here, home of Ross County. And what an exciting day to get back to domestic action in the Scottish Premiership. We're ready for match day 7 in the campaign. It's a beautiful day out there, and I'm delighted to say my two guests this afternoon, former Celtic striker and Wales international John Hartson. Thank you for joining us, John.
Welcome.
And former Motherwell, Partick Thistle and Northern Ireland defender Stephen Craigan is here today as well. Thank you, Stephen.
Good afternoon, Rory.
John, must be lovely to be up here in the Highlands and somewhere that you were almost thinking might be a more permanent home at one stage.
Yeah, well, I never got to play here as a player, but played against Ross County in the Cup at Celtic Park. But I came here to apply for the job when I retired from football, and before I started the media stuff. And the chairman, Mr. Roy McGregor, absolute gentleman, came in earlier on, and I spent the whole day with him. Unfortunately, gave the job to Jim McIntyre. But I said to Roy, if you had made me manager that day, Roy, I'd have guaranteed you top 6 for the past 10 years, you know. No doubt about that. But,
although he didn't say what division of the top 6. He did say top 6. We weren't too sure.
A little laugh and a joke about it. But no, as I said, that was one that passed me by, and obviously it went into the media then.
Stephen, it's great to get back to the club action domestic scene after the international break, because it's almost felt like a sort of stop-start to the season.
It has, you know, and particularly so for Celtic and Aberdeen, because they've had the break with COVID. It can be an unsettling time of year because September, October, November is traditionally the international break. So managers are trying to get a little bit of rhythm into the players. You know, fitness-wise, it's key as well. But I think certainly it gives players a chance to freshen up and recuperate and go again. So I'm expecting a high-intensity game here this afternoon.
Well, there's plenty of excitement at the ground today because around about 300 Ross County fans that are also season ticket holders, members of the Staggies Army, are able to come into the Global Energy Stadium this afternoon. There will be restrictions as to how they can act while in the stadium, which, you know, might be interesting. We'll see how people are able to manage that, but it's fantastic for people to be allowed to be back into the stadium.
It is. Well, listen, it's small steps forward. Now, you said excitement. I'm sure some of the fans may feel it's like a little bit of punishment because, you know, I think the emotions of football, if your team score a goal, you want to celebrate, you want to get emotional, you want to sing. But I think that's all banned. So it'll be interesting to see how the fans react to that. But certainly in the bigger picture, we need and want supporters back in the stadium in bigger numbers. This is a test event. Hopefully it goes well, and further down the line, stadiums can fill up a little bit more.
John, hopefully it's, you know, a sign of what things will be to come. But football plays such a big part in our lives, and particularly for people's mental health. Really, getting back to the stadium must just mean so much to them.
Well, absolutely, and for the lucky ones, the 300 that are able to come into the ground today, I think it's a start. It's a positive start for football. We got football now back in the calendar, and hopefully the fans will behave today in terms of adhere to what the authorities have said. Keep your face masks on and things like this, you know. So there's not going to be any difference in the atmosphere because they won't be able to shout and holler. But no, it's definitely a start. And as I said, hopefully in the not too distant future, we can get more bigger numbers in the stadiums because football is all about the supporters. You know, the football, we feed off the fans' reaction. So hopefully it's a positive sign, yes. But as I said, in the future going forward, we hope to get more in.
It'll be interesting if Ross County score a last minute winner or get a last minute draw or equaliser, it'll be great to see all the fans just sitting in their seats and waving, won't it?
So we'll see how it goes. Jumping up and celebrating, Stephen, as well.
No, John, totally impartial here, you know that.
Well, for now, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a great start to Ross County's season. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, and here's the best of the action from so far. Eight points from 6 games then for Ross County, and Stephen, you've been a part of all of them, and as our resident Staggies expert, how would you sum up their start to the season?
I think you used the word encouraging, but I think when they look back, they'll feel they possibly could have had some more points. Down at St Mirren against 10 men, when they scored in the second half, they still had plenty of time left to get a winner. They couldn't get it. Against Livingston last time out, when it was 11v11, there wasn't an awful lot in the game. You felt that they could have got something out of the game. They then get Carl Marco sent off. They lose the goal, and then it's they kind of lose their way a little bit. So it's certainly been encouraging. They haven't been outplayed in any game. They've scored in every game but one, which was the last one against Livingston. They maybe lack a little creative spark at times, which they'll need here this afternoon against a good Celtic side. So Stewart will be pleased. But when you look at the fixtures coming up of Celtic and Rangers, St Johnstone, Aberdeen, Hibs in the next 5, home and away, that will be a real test to see at what level they can get to. Can they push for that top 6? But certainly the teams have played so far, they've more than held their own, but today will be a different challenge for them.
And of course, John, they won those opening 2 games, and to get 6 points on the board so early, it's so important, isn't it? But how important is it that they get back to those winning ways? Obviously, today's a tough one to ask to try and get 3 points from.
Well, it's a home game, and they're on a winless run. They've not won for their previous 4, although they won the first 2, as Stephen alluded to there. But no, it's vitally important. They try and take advantage of their home games, and they don't come much tougher than today, obviously. But they've got some good players. We know Michael Gardyne used to be at Celtic. He's a live wire in the middle of the park. He can go and make things happen. Billy Mackay gets goals. They're striking. And I like the big lad as well, Ross Stewart. And we got the chairman in earlier on, and he said they've turned down 6 bids in the last week for this lad, so they're desperately wanting to hold on to Ross Stewart, and he's obviously vital for Ross County, for this season in terms of that physical presence they have.
Well, for Celtic, we expect them to be right up the top of the table throughout the season. 3 wins and a draw from their 4 games only. Here's the best of the action.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Well, Jamie Lyle has been down pitchside gathering information, and he's got the team news ahead of the kickoff.
Thanks very much, Rory. Yes, on a big day here in the Scottish Highlands, some big team news to bring you as well. We'll start with Ross County. 3 changes made by boss Stewart Kettlewell after the loss at Livingston. Keith Watson, Ross Draper and the suspended Carol Tremarco dropping out, which means Josh Reid comes in at left back. Jordan Tilson comes in midfield, and Harry Payton comes in that central area. That means Ross County go with a 4-2-3-1 formation, with Ross Laidlaw in goals, a back 4 of Conor Randall, Alex Yakoviti, Cole Donaldson, and as I say, Josh Reid. Ian Vanger's the captain, and Jordan Tilson will sit and protect in front of them. Harry Payton, Ross Stewart and Michael Gardine supporting Billy Mackay in attack. No question about the major talking points in the Celtic lineup, though. First and foremost, the return from injury of Odsonne Edouard, the star striker. He scored for the French under-21s in midweek, and he's shaken off an injury to lead the line alongside Albion Ayeti, who's also coming into the squad. Shane Duffy makes his debut after signing on loan from Brighton in midweek as well. So Celtic go with Barkas in goal. They've got a back 3 of Ayer, Julian and Duffy. Scott Brown and Callum McGregor sitting in front of them, with Olivier and Cham also playing through the middle. Jeremy Frimpong also coming into the team on the right wing back. James Forrest moving to the left wing back, and Albion Ayeti and Odsonne Edouard, as I say, leading the line up front. Plenty to get our teeth stuck into, and we'll hear from both managers in a few moments' time.
Well, Stephen, the last game at Livingston, we saw a back 3 changing back to the original shape that had been working for the first 5 games of the season. Any surprise there for you?
No, I think Livingston was the back 3 because they've such a physical presence. Livingston, they put a lot of throw-ins into the box, long throws, they put a lot of crosses, a lot of set plays in. So I think Stewart was just wanting the extra central defender for a bit of cover. I think today's team selection was a hard one because there was a lot of talk all week that Celtic would potentially play a back 3, and they have. So Stewart will have had the plan for playing against 2 centre forwards or a front 3. He'll have to give different messages throughout the week. So now they know it's a 3-5-2 from Celtic. Harry Payton brings energy. Jordan Tilson brings a competitive edge in midfield. But certainly the front 2 of Ayeti and Edouard will test that back 4. Now, we've praised them at the start of the season, said they've done well. Today will be their biggest test, and the young central defenders will have to come up with something different and try and stop those 2.
John, do you like the look of this Celtic lineup?
I love it. I think the fact that you've got 2 up front, 2 natural strikers, 3 at the back, and Shane Duffy, of course. I've not seen a bigger reaction from the Celtic supporters in a good few years as to the signing of Shane Duffy. I think the fans realise, this guy is an international captain, Republic of Ireland. He's got leadership qualities. He's got a lot of games in the Premier League. He gets it. He's a Celtic fan, one of their own, if you like. But saying all that, he still has to come in and sit in that back 3. It's a brilliant, brilliant signing. And I like the 2 up front. I think we've been talking about it. And I just think it's a case of the Celtic manager getting Ayeti up to speed. Edouard's missed the Motherwell game, missed the European game. It's getting him back from, injury-free from international duty, and they're able to go with 2 up front today, and I think it's really exciting. Fans will be delighted.
Well, plenty more to come, and we'll be back after a quick break.
Play your part in producing tomorrow's stars of the Staggies with an Academy Player Sponsorship package for season 2020-21. First Team future success relies on your support to nurture players like current number 43, Josh Reid. For more information on how you can assist the Football Academy in developing the next generation of Ross County, contact gordon.duff@rosscountyfootballclub.co.uk today.
At the Virtual Learning Academy, we work with employers to develop the skills of their teams. The VLA is your route into a range of Scottish qualifications and apprenticeships. Not everyone has the same learning style, so why should all learning be the same? With online study, tutor support, a wide range of subjects and 24/7 access, the VLA offers a flexible approach to suit different learning styles. Visit vla.scot. Learn more, your way.
Well, the build-up continues to kick off, and Jamie Lyle has caught up with Ross County manager Stewart Kettlewell.
Well, Stewart, we've got fans back. The Scottish champions are in town. What do you need to see from your team this afternoon?
I think probably elements of what I've seen for a large part of the season today. I know it's early days, but fundamentally I think we've shown a good energy in a lot of the games that we've played in, and I think we've handled the ball relatively well in stages of the game. I think that's really under the microscope today. When you play against this calibre of opponent, then it has to be its best version from you. You're going to have to hope that at times Celtic don't have a fluency which we've seen on numerous occasions from them last season. And for me personally, what I see it as is a gauge. You know, nobody expects us to get anything from this game today other than ourselves in that dressing room. We come into every game expecting to compete and obviously try and get a result. But what I need to see is a better version of us than what we got last season. We didn't score against Celtic. We conceded far too many goals, and I need to see that there has been some sort of improvement in that.
What sort of philosophy do you adopt going into this one then, Stuart? You see teams sometimes sit back and try and contain when Celtic and Rangers are in town. Do you want to have a real go at them, or do you want to try and be a bit more pragmatic in how you approach this one?
I think you always look at it and you come in with the best intentions and say let's attack, and you guys have heard me saying it already at the start of the season. Our intention is to attack every game. I think when you play against the Old Firm, you have to have a mixture of both. So again, that comes into my principle, my philosophy in the game of having a variety to your play. So we've spoke about how we can be aggressive in our press, and we've also spoke about how we can sit off in a deep block and restrain Celtic and limit their opportunities in certain stages of the game. So there's ages and stages in these games. I keep speaking about 5 and 10 minute batches. I think we've been to Parkhead, and for 5 or 10 minutes of the game, it's just totally got away from us. So we have to manage those situations. So I think the players know what they're doing in possession of the ball. In fact, I believe that 100% the players know what they're doing in possession of the ball, but they also know what they're doing when they don't have it. So again, it's about us putting this into practice today and dealing with probably the spotlight being on us a wee bit today with the fact that we start to get some supporters coming back in, and the fact that you're playing against the Old Firm and a lot of good players. So from my point of view, I look forward to it as a manager, and I believe the players are looking forward to it as well.
Well, Stewart Kettlewell getting his message across to the players. Do you like that mentality that he's trying to ingrain in his squad?
Yes, I do. I think it's vitally important that when they go forward, they get back into shape. I think the likes of Vigers and Tilson today, the two that were set in front of the back four, it's very important for them to put that extra block on, because I think they realise that Celtic will, they will have the lion's share of possession this afternoon. But also what I like about it is he's not just saying he's going to sit in and invite pressure. He knows with Mackay and Stewart, they'll have a threat themselves, but it's important, as I said, to deal with that flow of possession that Celtic are going to get and defend very strongly.
Stewart did his side a slight disservice, because they did manage to score last season in the 4-1 game, but the aggregate over the 3 games, 13-1. I think when you take the Rangers games in as well, it was maybe 21 against Ross County. So it's an area that they've targeted to show improvement this year, isn't it?
Well, in the last game, I think of the 3 they played last year against Celtic, there's only 3 players from that game start today. So a lot of the players in the side today aren't wounded by what happened last season. So, Stuart's aim this season was to be more competitive than last year. Last year was all about consolidation, stay in the league. This year was about trying to make that step towards the top 6. So bringing the players in that he has, that the challenge is for them to go and try and do that. He's honest enough to say that yes, we want to attack, but sometimes when Celtic have so much of the ball, you have to sometimes contain. You've got to sit off for 5 or 10 minutes, but then you've got to try and play your way back through that again. You've got to be brave in possession. Celtic test everything you've got. They test your mentality, your organisation, your fitness, your awareness, your touch, your bravery in possession and out of possession. That's what Celtic will test up Ross County today. And Stewart will get a better feel after the game of what his team are like, what direction they can go in and how far they can go. But first of all, they need to be competitive today.
When you look at the formation, and it looks like a sort of traditional 4-2-3-1, do you expect them to be a little bit more narrow and compact than that?
Well, they will be, and I expect the two wide players of Ross Stewart and Michael Gardyne will drop in and try and protect Josh Reid and Conor Randall. However, they have to be the outball as well. Their job isn't just to sit in front and protect. They have to be brave. Harry Paton's another one with pace. They need to be able to carry the ball up the pitch. If you win the ball deep, can you travel 50, 60, 70 yards? Can you get your team up the pitch? Billy Mackay has to be a focal point. And when you look at the three big present centre halves, he's up against Ayer, Julien and Shane Duffy. It's going to be a long afternoon for Billy Mackay. So Ross Stewart, Michael Gardyne, Harry Paton, a real responsibility to get up and support.
And John, really every team that comes up here, when they're looking at a danger man in the Ross County team, they pick out Ross Stewart. I know he's impressed you, and he's a player that has attracted interest and bids throughout the summer and as recently as last week. What is it you like about him?
I just like the fact that he's a big size. He's mobile. He came on, didn't he, against Celtic in the pre-season friendly. Did very well. He looked a bit of a danger when Ross County weren't offering too much going forward. And today it'll be important that when the ball comes up, he holds on to it and then he allows the team to come up the pitch. It can't just keep coming off him. But again, his partnership with trying to get as close to Billy Mackay today will be a very important one for Ross County.
I will say though, sorry Rory, he has been a little bit off it, in the last couple of games, and you just wonder, is it the speculation that is affecting his mindset and wondering what's going on in the bigger picture? Stuart Kettlewell said he spoke to him during the week, he spoke to his representatives, so today's a shot window.
I keep saying I think he's been the unluckiest player this season. He's got 2 goals from the spot, but he must have hit the post 3-4 times already this season.
And I think, the important thing is if Ross County want to progress, they want to get towards that top 6, then having him fit, having him available is maybe more valuable for the club than actually selling him and getting a couple of $100,000 or $400,000. I think staying in the league is more important than that. So, but there's no doubt he's got quality. And if he brings his best to the table today, he will pose problems, but he's going to have to improve, I think, in his last couple of games.
He's a player, though, that he seems very grounded. We've spoken to him. His mentality seems really spot on. Do you think that would affect his coming into games?
Well, maybe not, consciously, but subconsciously it's in the back of your mind that you've spoke to your agent during the week. Your agent spoke to you on the Saturday night or the Friday night or the Saturday morning. The manager knows what's going on. There's potential of moving on. So, listen, he's worked ever so hard to get to where he is. He was in junior football only 4 or 5 years ago. But he has to do a job and he has to do it today.
Well, thank you for now, gentlemen. And another important part of the Ross County team this season has been their defence. And at the heart of it has been Col Donaldson, and he caught up with Jamie.
Col, how are you?
Good.
Nice to see you. Grab a seat.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, I think it's fair to say it's been a mixed bag at the start of the season for Ross County. Some good results, some frustrating ones. What have you made of it all?
It was a brilliant start, like the first 2 games. I think we've sort of focused on them all through pre-season, the gaffer and the coaching staff, saying that we had the opportunity to start well. We managed to do so in the first 2 games, but we're looking to sort of kick on now and not really keep thinking about those 2 games. We need to go and accumulate more points, so the last sort of couple of weeks been a wee bit disappointing in that sense.
Where do you think things need to improve then as we come back from this international break?
I think we can improve all over the pitch, to be honest. I think we obviously started with 2 clean sheets, which was great. There was a lot of positivity about the back 4 and the sort of whole team, the way that we were working for each other. I think we sort of need to get back to those basics of working as an 11 to try and get the clean sheet, and obviously going forward as well, we try to look to create more chances for the strikers. I think the last 2 sort of games they've been starved of real opportunities in the game, so all over the sort of pitch I think we can improve.
Well, certainly a big challenge rumbling into Dingwall in a couple of days' time in the form of Celtic. What sort of an attacking threat will they pose to you as a centre half?
On it is a good way to describe it. I think you're just like constantly 90 minutes thinking like what can go wrong sort of thing. You could be sitting with the ball in their half and then 5 seconds later you've got 4 of them running at you and there's only 3 mates next to you, so like it's tough. And you're obviously, Edward is for me, head and shoulders the best footballer in this league. Like, he's brilliant, he's got everything as a striker. But these are the players you want to play against. As a defender, you look at it, it's probably it's going to be your toughest game. So I'm relishing it. I'm really looking forward to the challenge of it.
How do you beat them?
I think we just, like what we were talking about earlier, like you need to have that structure as a team. There are going to be periods in the game where you're under the cosh and you just need to sort of really rally together, see through those periods, and then try and nick a goal, try and set pieces are big. Staying in the game's massive as well. They can, last sort of 20 minutes, really go for it and maybe pick them off one of them. But it is going to be tough. Like, these teams don't often get beat, so we're looking to be the team that just nicks every 3 points against it.
Here's open. Cole, thanks very much for your time and best of luck.
Do you want to reduce print costs with a first-class local service? We supply award-winning print, copy and scan equipment to customers like you across the Highlands, Islands, Moray and Grampian. At Highland Copiers, we'll help you reduce your print costs, and because we're big enough to cope but small enough to care, you can be sure of our fast, efficient, fully qualified and personal service both on-site or by remote login. Support your local team, support Highland Copiers and discover true local.
Well, Neil Lennon's Celtic arrive here looking to claw back points on Rangers and Hibernian up the top of the table, and he's been chatting to Jamie.
Well, Neil, starting with your team news today, some big and welcome news, I'm sure, for you. Shane Duffy making his debut, and also Edouard back from injury. Two big boosts for you.
Yeah, we're delighted to get the services of Shane. He played a couple of games of Ireland. This is his first game since January, so that'll have done him the world of good. So he's trained the last few days and he's looked good, so we wanted to get him into the team ASAP. And then, of course, Hartson's a very important player for us. He's had a couple of run-outs with France and he's ready to play.
Where will this game be won and lost today, and what do you need to see from your team to get the 3 points?
A good start. We need some intensity, and I want to impose ourselves on Ross County. We're looking physically bigger, and we've got good legs in the team, and obviously a real attacking threat with the two strikers. So, I want us to be on the front foot, forward passing as much as we can, and obviously ask some questions of Ross County.
Neil, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
John, I think that's the formation that a lot of supporters at Celtic have been crying out to go to this 3-5-2. You like the setup?
I do like it. That's the system that I played in at Celtic for 5 years. Hardly ever changed, and to play two up with Edouard. Edouard, he's got great movement. Ayeti's come in. He's got himself a couple of goals. I think, admittedly, Neil Lennon has said that he didn't quite feel he was up to standard. What he meant by that was he maybe wasn't quite sharp enough, but you could clearly see he's got a goal in him, Ayeti. And I'm very much looking forward to see how the two strikers link up together today. Look very good in midfield as well, with Brown, Incham and McGregor. And of course, Forrest down the left-hand side and Frimpong down the right. Plenty of energy there. Let's just hope, when you've got two up, you've got to supply them. Let's hope the two wide players get plenty of service in for the two strikers today.
And Stephen, from a defensive point of view, having that back three, they've struggled sometimes against physical opponents. Bringing Shane Duffy into the heart of that defence must be really key.
I think he wanted to complement the strengths of Ayer and Julien, who are very quick, they're good in possession, but at times, Neil wanted an old-fashioned centre-half who wants to go and head the ball, who wants to make physical contact with centre forwards, who wants to get close to people, but also carries a real threat in the opposition box as well. So he does tick all the boxes, and I know John said earlier on, he is a Celtic supporter, his family are all Celtic supporters, but he's got to be careful though he doesn't get too emotional, that he doesn't want to show everybody, look at me, I'm a Celtic fan, and makes rash decisions. He's an experienced enough international defender, he should have a calmness and a composure about him, but I just think, as I say, he gives them a really good balance. It means that Scott Brown can sit in front, the three central defenders and Scott Brown will defend, and sometimes when teams play a 3-5-2, their two wing backs are defensive players. James Forrest and Frimpong aren't. They will play like wingers. It'll be all out attack, the front six, go and get after the game, go and win us the game, and with the quality they have in show. And if they're struggling, they can look at Patrick Lamala and El Yunusi and David Turnbull and Ryan Christie. Anything between 30 and 40 million pounds worth of talent sitting on the bench. So Neil must look over his shoulder and think, that's comforting. but the players, 11 players starting today, have more than enough to go and dominate this game from start to finish.
John, when you look at Odsonne Edouard coming back into the team, he was on international duty and, of course, scored again because he always scores for the French under-21s, usually gets a couple. Why is he such a key player in this team?
Well, first and foremost, he's a goal scorer. His movement is fantastic. He's a great option for the midfield players. There's nothing really he can't do as a striker. He can head it, he can run at players, he can drop deep, although I prefer him up as a 9. And I think he's got everything a modern day striker needs. You can see how comfortably he takes this finish there on the run. That's a really difficult finish. And you know, he's confident. He's just come back from scoring for his country under 21s. And I'm delighted, as well as the Celtic fans will be, he's fit and he's firing, because he is crucial to what's at stake this season for Celtic. We all know what the end target is, and for Celtic to achieve that, Edouard is going to be pivotal in terms of you know, Celtic getting to that target they want to be at.
And they'll be desperate to form this partnership with Albion Ayeti as well.
Exactly, and I think as much as John likes Edouard as a 9, I like the fact he comes off and links up. Ayeti will want to back in. He will want to be the one that wrestles and fights. And you think like the partnership they had with Lee Griffiths last year. Lee Griffiths was the one who stretched the game in behind and created those little pockets of space for Edouard. He's the best player, best all-round player in the league. He makes them tick. He links up their play. That's why he wants him back in his side. Unfortunately, when you're that kind of player and you're that good, other clubs want to look at you. So Celtic need to show real, you know, intention of keeping him throughout this window. Get the window shut, get on with it, and focus on getting that title, as John says.
Well, Celtic have been chasing Shane Duffy for quite a while, and this week they got their man.
Shane, welcome to Celtic. You're finally here in the building. How does it feel?
Great. Obviously, a long time coming. I think it's been a hectic week for me. Last week, obviously, getting it done but not being here was difficult. But I had other things in my mind. But I landed in Glasgow last night, and I'm just buzzing now to get going. And I just can't wait for Saturday.
The fans obviously had a feeling that the signing was coming, but when it finally was confirmed, there was a great reaction from the supporters. What's it been like for you personally?
Well, it's been crazy. Obviously, social media and everything these days, you see quite a bit of it. And as I said, it was overwhelming. It was I know what the fans are and what they mean, and I sort of gathered that, like, what it would be like, obviously an Irishman and where I'm from in Derry and being my boyhood club and stuff like that. I thought it would be a little bit like that, but nowhere near as what it's been like. So it's been incredible, and I just can't wait to just get down to business now and do it on the pitch for them.
So many of us grew up Celtic supporters wishing one day we could pull on the hoops and be a Celtic player. You now get to do that. Did you ever think the time maybe wasn't going to come in your career to join us?
You always wonder, because first and foremost you have to be good enough to play for the club, and when you're younger you sort of you're just continuing your pathway to your career really. And I had a difficult year last year, and this opportunity came where I'm grateful for the club. They want me first and foremost, and they get the deal done. So as I said, to pull the jersey on, it's a really, really special moment for me, and it will be on Saturday as well. But yeah, you doubt it. You think you ever going to get to play for Celtic, and now it's here. So as I said, I'm delighted, and the words sort of can't really explain it.
You obviously understand the club, you know the club inside out because you've been a supporter all your life, but in a sense, I suppose you maybe feel a little bit of extra pressure because of that?
Yeah, you can say that. Obviously, if it goes the wrong way, it could be difficult, but I'm a believer in my own ability and where I am at my career now. I'm at a good age, and I'm not here sort of on the lower end of my career. I'm coming into my prime, where hopefully Celtic fans will get me up, coming into my peak, and that's something I'm excited for as well, for doing it for Celtic and my own career personally. But I'm at a good stage now. Obviously, I need a few games and get up and running, but as I said, I'm excited.
Well, a big thank you to Celtic and Jerry McCulloch for providing that interview. And John, it's a dream come true there for Shane Duffy. What will be going through his mind? He's making his debut today. What a great moment for him.
Win my first header, get my first touch right, get my first clearance away, But no, it's an outstanding signing from Celtic. 28 years of age, as I said earlier, captains his country. Strong, big, aggressive, can handle another sort of physical presence as a forward up against him. He won't have any problem with that. And as I said, I think it's a signing that Celtic make many of great signings, but it's a signing this week that's excited the Celtic fans. They're really excited, you know, with the fact that he's in his prime. He will make a massive difference to us, to Celtic defensively, in terms of the goals that we concede. And he's great as well for the, you know, to give experience to Aya and to Julien alongside him, and also Peter, who can also play there.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for now. We're getting close to kick-off. And it's a big day here in Dingwall as we welcome supporters, albeit 300 of them, back into the ground. And Jamie has caught up with Ross County CEO Stephen Ferguson.
Well, Stephen, it's been almost 6 months to the day since we last had fans here watching a game of football inside the Global Energy Stadium. You must be really excited to welcome the 300 county fans back in today.
Aye, for sure. It's been a long time coming, but we understand that we have to go and follow the procedures that's laid out in front of us. So to get 300 fans back in the ground today is huge for Ross County, but it's also huge for football in Scotland, because I think we all appreciate how much we'd like to get supporters back in watching football, and today's just the first small step to be able to do that.
Yeah, talk to us a bit about the work that's gone in behind the scenes to put today together.
There's been a huge amount of work, and that's not an understatement. We have a small team at Ross County, and the levels that the guys have achieved in making this happen today is fantastic for our football club, and a real credit to every one of them that's put the shift in to make that happen. So we appreciate we're under the microscope. We appreciate that we need to get things right, but it's well worth that, taking on that bit of pressure to be able to see if we can do it, and see if we can do it safely, and have 100% confidence in the team that they've been able to put the procedures in place that we can have a game on today with 300 fans watching it safely.
What are the emotions then like for you? You mentioned being under the microscope, lots of eyes I'm sure around Scotland on yourselves, on the game at Pittodrie as well, the first matches that we've had fans back in for. How are you feeling? You're a bit nervous? This needs to go well, doesn't it?
No, of course it needs to go well, but as I've already said, I've total faith in the team that has put it all together. So we're in a position that we feel we can achieve what we need to achieve, and Aberdeen will be the same. And I suppose Aberdeen and ourselves are flying the flag for the whole of Scottish football, to make sure that we can then roll out further and maybe more fans the next time, and different stadiums the next time. So this is just a small step, but it's one I think that we have to make, and we have to make it properly, and we need to make sure it's done correct.
Yeah. As a CEO, what's it been like during this period, during a global pandemic? You're quite new in the role as well. How challenging has this last 6 months or so been?
It's probably been easier for me because I've not known anything else. So everything that we've had to deal with has been under the microscope of COVID and under the restrictions of COVID. So as I've said before, it's not a one-man band here. We're big on the togetherness and big on the team spirit. So that's not only on the pitch but off the pitch as well. And we have a supportive chairman, as everybody knows, and together from top to bottom, everybody's done what's needed done to get in. Obviously our supporters there's only 300 of them in today, and there'll be ones that have been disappointed, but the feedback that we've had from the supporters, how we've went about getting 300 supporters in has been well received, and it's been accepted by everybody, and that's a credit to our supporters as well, because that was a challenge. It could have been a bigger challenge than it was, but thankfully for the way that the supporters have conducted themselves, it's been relatively straightforward for us.
Well, Stephen, we hope it all goes well today. Enjoy the game, and thanks for speaking to us.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers.